Curtis Calhoun here with MMA News, and my next guest is getting ready to fight Natalia Silva on June 18th, UFC Austin, UFC flyweight, Jasmine Jasudavicius. Jasmine, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. To start things off here, how has camp been so far to this point, and how pumped are you to get back in there in the octagon?
I'm jacked up. Camp's been going awesome. I've done a bunch of traveling this camp, and yeah, feeling good, feeling sharp, feeling healthy.
Awesome. And let's talk a little bit about your upcoming opponent, Natalia Silva, coming off of a 2-year layoff. Are you coming into this fight with any expectations in terms of what you might expect from her, or are you just kind of working on everything to this point?
Yeah, I'm just working on everything. It's like she hasn't fought in 2 years. I have no idea what she's gonna be like. It's like back in those amateur days, where you just get signed up with someone and then you go and scrap. No one knows anything. So I'm just looking at it like that and looking forward to just fighting.
Yeah, I gotcha. And you've been training a little bit at American Top Team ahead of this one. What's that whole experience been like? And just getting a bunch of different looks and training down there.
That's been awesome. Yeah, the athletes and the coaches are like they're sick down there. I can't say enough great things about them, and yeah, I look forward to going back in the future.
That's awesome. And who's going to be in your corner for this one?
For this one, I have Chris Prickett, Matt DiMarcantonio, and Lucas Bade.
Awesome. And I want to touch a little bit on your UFC debut earlier this year at UFC 270, Hansen. Obviously, a great performance, great win. What are your thoughts on your performance and just kind of general reflections from your debut?
Yeah, I think I had a good debut. I had a clean debut. I didn't get into any brawls. That was like the point of the fight, get in there. Is my first fight in the UFC, and so of course you have like the jitters and everything. So I found that I was playing it safe in that fight, and this fight I feel comfortable. I know the lay of the land. I know how things work, and yeah, I'm gonna open up a little bit more this fight.
Take me into those moments as you were making that first walk to the UFC octagon. What was going through your mind? What were the emotions like? What was it? Everything that you expected?
It was nuts. The walkout was so sick. It was like cool seeing my name up in the lights and everything. And I was getting like jacked up, high fiving all the fans. It's so sick fighting with fans. But yeah, it was like I couldn't wait to get in there, and there was like a point where I was walking, and then I was like enjoying the moment too much. I'm like, shit, I gotta fight soon. Like let's chill a little bit. Then I like shut it down. Went in for business.
Are you the type of fighter that feeds off of the energy of the crowd, or are you just completely zoned in on what you have to do?
No, I like having a crowd. I love fighting with a crowd, just hearing everyone, and it's different. It's a different energy.
I gotcha. And obviously, massive flyweight title fight coming up between Valentina Shevchenko and Taila Santos. What are your thoughts on that matchup and how it'll play out?
I think that's going to be a great fight. I think Shevchenko is going to win, but I think that people are sleeping on this Santos girl. I think Santos is like kind of going to humanize Shevchenko a little bit this fight. I think Shevchenko will still win because she's so talented. But yeah, I think it will shake things up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And Valentina's been talking a little bit about possibly going back up to 135 to face the winner of Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes. What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like that's a good move for her?
Yeah, why not? That's sick. If I had that opportunity, I would do the same. That would be awesome.
I gotcha. And I saw in another interview you did that you started MMA when you were 26. How did you first get into MMA? And was the plan to be a pro fighter from the beginning when you were first training?
No, it wasn't. I kind of like stumbled upon it, and it kind of drew me in, and then I was committed. Like I had no idea that I wanted to be a pro fighter or anything. It was like I had little goals it was like I started training a little bit, and then it's like I wanted to be a good training partner. And then after that, it was like, oh, I want to like beat these girls that I had like good rounds with before. And then it was like, I want to take my first pro fight, or my first amateur fight, and then my first pro. Like there was like stepping stones until you finally get to this point. But yeah, like kind of like the dream after the first fight was to be a pro fighter, but it was like smaller. You didn't really think of it.
Were there a few fighters that you watched that you took inspiration from or wanted to learn from or anything like that, especially when you were just starting?
I liked watching the fighters, but I feel like I took like little pieces of like each of them. I'd like appreciate certain little things about each person individually. So there wasn't like any like collective fighter that I would watch. I would just try to pick something up from everyone.
And then who are some of the fighters around the sport right now who you like to watch?
Obviously, any of the girls at 125, I like watching that, seeing what I think. I like watching Piotr Yan. He's my favorite fighter. I like watching Masvidal. I like the Diaz guys. Like, there's so many like awesome fighters. Sandhagen, I like watching him. Tons of them.
That's awesome. And I saw a recent interview that you did that the first place that you trained in was actually in the basement of a restaurant at the Blue Star in Canada. Just kind of talk me through that whole experience and what was that like training there?
Yeah, one of the guys that we would like, there was like a group of us that would just train together. There was like 6 or 8 of us, and we just would meet every day at 11. And one of the guys, his sponsor owned the restaurant, and that used to be an old judo gym, but no one used it anymore, but the mats were still there. And so the owner said, hey, if you and your friends want to use it anytime, like go for it. And so like that was like our first gym. We would like have to walk through the kitchen to get down in there, and there was like grease stains on the mat. There was no heater, nothing. Like it was like a different experience. But yeah, that was our first gym.
And did you guys deal with like any flooding in the gym or anything like that? I would imagine that was probably difficult some days.
Yeah, it was all like there was no bathroom. Like it was always flooded, or there was no water there. I don't know. It was so weird, but yeah, there was always those issues having to do with those.
I gotcha. And last question for me. Once again, I really do appreciate the time. What can UFC fans expect from you at UFC Austin?
They expect to see my hand raised at the end of the fight. And yeah, I just can't wait to get in there.
Awesome. And before we wrap things up here, I'll give you the floor to shout out any sponsors you have, shout out your team, all that good stuff. I'll give you the final word.
Obviously, big thanks to my coaches and my teammates. They're the best in the world. Niagara Top Team. Let's go.
I love it. Jasmine, thanks again for the time. Appreciate it. All the best with the rest of camp. And I'm sure we'll chat again soon. Thank you so much.
For sure. Have a good one.